Wembley. I'm joined by Anthony Joshua. First of all, how are you?
All good. How are you?
I'm all right. What is your to Dillian Whyte's win over Jermaine Franklin? A lot of people thought it was close. How close did you think it was, Anthony?
I've never scored fights. I've never been in that business. The judges scored a fight, so they had Dillian winning. Well done to Dillian. Good competitive 12 rounds from both. As big guys, to get 12 rounds in the bank is good for the cardiovascular system.
Did you think Dillian Whyte made hard work of the fight tonight?
Well, look, let me take myself out of the fighting capacity and say if I was a trainer, I'd expect my fighter to knock someone like Jermaine Franklin out, with all due respect, yeah? With the experience Dillian's got, the power he's got, all the other stuff, I ain't in there to play games. I'm going there to try and knock someone of that caliber out. If you listen, up-and-coming fighters, you need to be knocking out everyone on the way up, because by the time you get to the top, it's only going to get tougher. So if you struggle with fighters on the way up, you're gonna get smashed when you get to the top, basically. So make sure you're smoking people on the way up.
Those are the words of Anthony Joshua, and this is his first reaction. Shout out to IFL TV for getting the interview, of course. But as you heard Anthony Joshua say, you know, key things to pick up on the way. He said someone to the caliber of Dillian Whyte should have smashed Jermaine Franklin. You know, if he was, and he was looking from the mind of a trainer, but you know he was talking about himself. Like, look, you would expect someone to that caliber, Jermaine Franklin, to get smashed by Dillian Whyte. That fight should have been over 6 or 7 rounds. Okay? And if, like he said, if he goes and he's fighting guys and he's struggling guys with on this caliber, when he comes up to another level, he's going to get smashed himself. And let me counterpunch. This shows that Dillian Whyte, I can't say struggled. He had a hard fight with a fighter that refused to quit. You know, and Anthony Joshua has been at that level. Dillian Whyte's trying to get to. When he stepped up to, he got stopped. Okay, three separate times. He's got off the canvas only once to win a fight in England, mind you, in England, against Oscar Rivas. You know, and there was a lot of other shit that was, you know, intertwined around that. But, you know, with him saying that, hey, I think that Dillian Whyte should have got him out of there with that caliber. Now, it's fair to say, like I tell everybody, well, you have to be in there with Jermaine Franklin to know what it's like to be in there with Jermaine Franklin. You got to fight him to know. Right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like listen, you know, you have these type of fighters that, you know, you got an undefeated fighter from the USA that, you know, a lot of people haven't even heard of. That could be a very good thing, or that could be a bad thing. But basically what Anthony's saying, like, look, if you're going to pick a fighter like that, you got to get him out of there. You can't get a fighter that nobody's never heard of, give you one hell of a fight and doubt that you won or not. That looks bad for you. Because what happens to the other fighters that are are supposedly way top classes, way above the class of Jermaine Franklin? What is said about those two? You know, and he's like, well, I'm not in there to fuck around. So I guess he thought that Dillian Whyte didn't really do what he should have done. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what Anthony Joshua was saying. You know, and Dillian Whyte was just in there with a competitor. You can look at ring rust. You can look at a lot of factors. But when you're looking at other factors besides his performance, what do you really have? You had Dillian Whyte last night taking on Jermaine Franklin, and he didn't get him out of there like a lot of people expected to. That's what they predicted. They predicted a 7th or 8th round knockout. That's what they predicted. And in fact, in round 9, Jermaine Franklin hurt him. So, yeah, but this is the perspective of Anthony Joshua. So, I feel that Dillian Whyte, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, it's either you give him props or you don't. He's a good competitor. It was that. But then I had these problems too, and new trainer. Like, that's kind of, no. And I will talk about that in detail later on. But Jermaine Franklin, had on a scorecard a draw. Okay, and the other fighters had Dillian Whyte winning 8 rounds to 4. Both judges. So yeah, that comes off as, a red flag, because it's like, okay, well, where was this other judge? And, it would be different if it was like 115, 113. And that's how Eddie Hearn had it, mind you. And also, you have now the promoter, now the possible next fight for Dillian Whyte. The next fighter is thinking the same shit. Dillian Whyte should have got him out of there. There shouldn't have even been that at all. Right? So, but anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Anthony Joshua and his take on Dillian Whyte versus Jermaine Franklin. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.